But our game plan was to let James Harden do everything that he's going to do. We're probably not going to stop him, and that's fine. But we're going to stop everyone else. And then James is going to get tired because he's dribbling the ball 32 times per possession. I don't care how good a shape you in. I don't care who you are. That is taxing.
I'm just saying in this era, it's only become more difficult to win because of the rules that we play by. It's like, you should go play with this guy, and you should go play with this guy and that guy. And it's like, all right, well, who do you think is going to dominate winning? What do you think is going to happen?
The outside world, he's joining a team that won 73 games. He's joining a team that already won a championship and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is I don't think that team wins another championship if Kevin doesn't come.
If you ain't trying to contend with the Warriors, then what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? The Warriors haven't lost in the playoffs. Like, if you're not trying to contend with them, then what are you doing?
The Golden State Warriors are clearly the most dominant team of the last decade. 4 championships in an 8-year window. One of the biggest faces of our league was Stephen Curry, one of the greatest big threes ever, and currently the coach with the highest winning percentage in the history of our league. To me, they were so dominant that the NBA is still feeling their impact. Every year, it feels like it's some unsatisfied star in the league. This summer, it's Dame and James Harden. Last year, it was Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. A few summers back, it was Kawhi unhappy in San Antonio. All of those players that I just named, even looking for a new home for whatever reason, it's all somewhat linked to the dominance of Golden State in my opinion. A few years back, I made a video titled 4 Great Teams the Warriors Destroyed. The Boston Celtics, they just gave Jaylen Brown a humongous contract that some people thought they probably shouldn't have. And if Brad Stevens listened to that advice and decided to trade him, the Boston Celtics, along with a few other teams since that video, they would have been added to that list. Damian Lillard is obviously looking for a new home this upcoming season. His time in Portland has finally run its course. Dame is the oldest player on that team by a significant margin, and the team looks completely different from the majority of his tenure, and their future looks pretty bright without him. Currently, Dame has one of the worst playoff resumes team-wise in NBA history. Individually, he's been great, and he's had spectacular moments, but he hasn't been able to win, and that's the objective of it all. A huge block and the biggest stoppage of him actually winning has been, well, the Golden State Warriors. Dame met the Warriors in back-to-back series in 2016 and 2017. 2 completely different teams because one had KD and one didn't. And he averaged 30 in both series, but he only won 1 of the 8 total games. Now, even though I think the Warriors were a much better team than Portland, even without KD, you can't completely blame the KD advantage. Dame only played the KD Warriors once. In 2019, when KD was nursing that injured calf, they met the Warriors in the conference finals and they led by 17 points plus in 3 consecutive games and got swept. Against every team not named Golden State in the playoffs, Dame is damn near 500, which to me is respectable given the teams he's been on. But against them, he's 1-12. 4 out of his 9 worst plus-minus playoff games, damn near half, were against, guess who? Like 5 years ago, they tried to hype this up to be like a backcourt rivalry between the best backcourts in the league, but clearly that was never really a thing. Chris Paul is now oddly on the Golden State Warriors after being tormented by this very same team, and specifically Steph, for the back half of his career. Now, Chris Paul, with that exciting Lob City team that never won anything, he actually beat a younger Golden State team in 2014 in like a 7-game crazy battle. But after that, he never beat him in the postseason again. I remember from like Christmas of 2014 all the way up to the end of Chris Paul's tenure with the Clippers, which was in 2017. Golden State beat the Clippers 10 straight times. That team clearly couldn't contend with Golden State, especially after they got Kevin Durant. Since Chris Paul left the Clippers, he's actually been the most winning player in the league. He's had 3 of the best records with 2 different teams, and in that span, Golden State still beat him in the playoffs twice, and Steph stacked on 2 more rings. James Harden is like the main headline for August after making 3 extremely messy trade requests in 3 years. James Harden is pretty much known as a playoff choker, but a lot of the reasons he happens to be ringless is really the Golden State Warriors, especially for his prime. The 2018 Rockets, they were one of the greatest regular season teams ever. I made a whole video about their dominance, and they didn't even play that much together. To me, that one specific team that was the only team that really had a realistic chance at beating the KD Warriors healthy. As we know, Chris Paul's injury completely changed the momentum of that series, and that window closed. But one thing I'll give James Harden a little bit of slack for, and actually proof that Golden State was really the biggest blockage to him winning a championship, since 2015, with the exception of the 2017 Spurs, which to me was the worst choke job of his career, and last year, every team he lost to made the finals or won the finals. 4 of those teams happened to be Golden State while he was in Houston. Since 2010, James Harden has played the 4th most playoff games. He actually has a decent playoff record given the fact that he hasn't won. He wins 53% of them. Against 16 different playoff teams that he's actually faced, he has a winning playoff record against 12 of them. Unfortunately, the team that he scores the most against, they've beaten him by far the most, and they've damaged his legacy. Russell Westbrook's career was also damaged by the dominance of the Warriors, well, because they took KD away. Now, obviously, it all depends on how you view it. Historically, individually, he became a top 75 player. He broke all kinds of records with triple doubles in the absence of KD, but winning wise, he really suffered. Before OKC blew that 3-1 lead against Golden State in 2016, even though he hadn't won a championship, Russ was really a winner, and you really couldn't deny that. 4 conference finals in the West, made an NBA finals, didn't really know what a first round exit looked like, and his team really always had a chance. But since KD left, Russ has by far the worst postseason record in that span with like 4 different teams, and he's been bounced out in the first round 4 different times. That wasn't really a thing before Golden State came back in 2016. Kevin Durant, he was also on that 2016 OKC team that choked that 3-1 lead. And Golden State, they also put a stain on his legacy. Now his is a little weird because obviously Golden State also helped his legacy. He got 2 championships, he got 2 MVPs, etc. But how he got there and what he did once he got there, and most importantly, what he hasn't done once he left, it added a different layer of criticism to his career that really wouldn't exist if Golden State wasn't a thing. Last summer to me was so damn ironic because KD was in the exact same position when he requested that trade from Brooklyn that Kobe was in when he requested that trade from LA. Kobe couldn't get Shaq's monkey off his back and KD couldn't get Steph off his. Now let's not get it confused. KD did have postseason success pre-Steph. 4 conference finals, made the finals at 23, all that stuff. Everything Russ did that I named, KD was on that team. But he was never able to get over that hump pre-Steph, and since leaving them, he still hasn't, even though he's been on teams that on paper look like he should. And what really made it kind of bad for KD and what solidified Steph as the driving force of those Warriors teams, even with KD, is the 2022 playoffs, where Steph had arguably his best playoff performance against the very same team that KD had his worst. I saw somebody say on Twitter that Kyrie Irving is to Steph what Carmelo was to LeBron, and I can't unsee it because that comparison to me is so precisely perfect. All great players, but Kyrie and Carmelo, their games can look more pretty and flashy than LeBron and Steph's, but LeBron and Steph's is clearly more impactful. Now, Kyrie's legacy against Golden State is weird because on one side, he made it against Golden State, the 73-9 Warriors where he hit that big shot. But on the other side, his success team-wise completely trended downward since that gentleman's sweep against Golden State in 2017, where he ultimately left Cleveland. And lastly, and obviously the most impacted, LeBron. LeBron, he's in this never-ending GOAT debate. And the one thing that always holds him up and the biggest criticism to his legacy is obviously those 6 finals defeats. Fair or not, half of them came against Golden State, where to me, his teams were completely outmatched. In those finals matchups, LeBron damn near averaged a 30-point triple-double, and he still lost 3 out of the 4 series against Golden State. Just to show you how much LeBron really had to do against Golden State to really have a pulse, in the 22 games against Golden State in the finals, he scored under 30 points 9 times. They lost 8 of them. He scored 40 points plus 4 times in which they still lost. And guess what? Nobody cares. All they see is you got 6 finals defeats and 3 of them came against Golden State. Jordan never lost. And fair or not, That's just how it is. If you guys like this video, If I left anybody out, let me know in the comment section. Besides LeBron, who do you think was most impacted by the dominance of Golden State? I'll probably say Chris Paul. I'll probably say James Harden. I'll say James Harden. Follow my social media sites, turn on post notifications, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.